This is crazy. That is awesome. Hi, this is Dan Langley. If you're ready to question everything that you think that you know in order to unlock your purpose and discover your full potential, then you're joining us for another edition of Eye-Opening Discussions, where this may be the most elaborate eye-opening discussions episode yet. We are about, I don't know, maybe 20,000 feet in the air on a plane flying to Orcas Island, and the air is a little bit more refined up here, but we have a more enlightened view of our surroundings. So maybe this will provide an opportunity for us to have an enlightened idea about the trials and tribulations that you may be facing in your life. I was just talking to Pablo, and we discussed ways that we can connect with our audience. And earnestly, I want to connect with you in the audience. And so this is my earnest attempt to say, what is bothering you in your life? And please let us know in the comments, because I truly am wanting to help in whatever problems are in your life right now, and also to share in the triumphs as well. But the whole purpose of this is to question things that we think that we know. And Pablo and I were talking before about really asking the question, why? Why should we even care? Can we find something to care about? And so I asked Pablo kind of what he cares about. And he cares about his beautiful daughter. And that's a great place to start. A lot of us in the audience have children, and we may have some concerns that, is my child going to grow up to live in a happy world? Is my child going to grow up to be fulfilled or content in their life? Are they going to experience life in its fullest potential? And so these are great questions to ask. And I suggested that there's a way that we can recognize the fundamental effects of the law of cause and effect.
The universal law of cause and effect is beautifully summarized in chapter 12 of the sacred Hermetic text, the Kybalion. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law.
And so when we think about a certain type of effect that we want to have, whether it's happiness for our children, whether it's a successful career, or whether it's health in our physicality, then simply recognizing that there is no effect that isn't preceded by a cause. And now we can reverse engineer that cause to get the type of effect that we'd like. And so there might be some questions about certainty, but I'm here to tell you that anything in your life can be made to be certain with the rule of cause and effect. We know that if we create a certain cause, that it will have an effect. Now that we have that idea or that blueprint in mind, can we now be the cause that will undoubtedly create the effect that we're looking for? And that does take a little bit of self-awareness, and to say, what type of effect do I want? And now, what are the requirements for the cause to create that effect? So if we think about our young children in the ages of, say, 1 to 7, the formative years of their life, and we think about them in terms of, say, a hard drive. And when you get a new hard drive, at least back in the days, you have to format that hard drive so it can handle the information in a certain way. Well, what if we could take assessment of our hard drive or our children's hard drive and simply try to program that hard drive for success? Try to program that hard drive so that their imagination is encouraged and cultivated and understood. And instead of trying to pigeonhole our children into, polite society or culture, that we could simply recognize their unique talents and lean into those. And so imagination is one of the most powerful tools at anyone's disposal. And children, when they're young, they have such a vibrant, robust imagination. And so encouraging that type of imagination as opposed to stifling it could be a way that we could help our children along. That's challenging, I know, at times, because culture is saying, no, don't think creatively. You have to kind of conform at school. You have to sit down, you have to be at your desk, you have to raise your hand for questions. And I understand that that's all kind of a part of polite society. But what's more important, being in polite society and creating a shadow of a unique individual that otherwise could flourish into a brilliant fractal of the creator? I say that the cultivation of imagination could be one of the best things that we could do for our kids. And if we do that, we're assured that the result or the effect of that cause, the cause of formatting their hard drive, so we encourage imagination, we encourage cooperation and collaboration, then we're assured that their future, their effect is going to be rich and full and happy and vibrant. So one of the things that Paula and I were talking about here was we were talking about the realm of effects, and the realm of effects is the physical environment. It's not the cause. We think that, the physical environment causes the physical reality, but it's not. The cause of the physical environment are higher energetical planes, whether we call those the astral plane, the causal plane, the emotional plane, the mental plane, the spiritual plane. All these are higher archetypal energies that create the physical reality. And if you don't know, our physical reality, we only can perceive 0.00035% of actual reality. And now we take that 0.00035% of reality and we call that the true reality, when in fact it's simply a minuscule fragment of that reality. So what if the other 99% was actually the cause of the 1%, right? As we know, if we take any material substance and we zoom in on it as microscopic as we go, we recognize that those are just fields of energy, more specifically toroidal fields of energy. And so the Greek sign of phi, which is kind of like this, right? It is the symbol of phi goes through cycles. It goes through a phi cycle or a physical manifestation. And so recognizing that the energy causes the physical manifestation, then if we simply step outside of physical reality for a moment, whether it be up here or in our heart space, and we recognize that we can create blueprints for success in those spaces, in our heart and in our mind, and we work to acquire the knowledge of the higher planes, whether it be our emotionality or our mentality, and then we work to understand that information from those realms, then we can apply that information from a blueprint, an archetypal blueprint from the higher planes that will create the effect that we want. So there isn't any problem that we can't overcome with this simple knowledge. Symbolism is hidden throughout all of society, and it's right in our face. And if we just can muster up a bit of awareness, then we can see the symbolism for our ultimate fulfillment everywhere we look. And this information isn't my information that I created out of thin air. It's information that has been passed down throughout the ages by sages, by mystics, by priests, by kings and queens, by pharaohs. And sharing this information with you could really change the way that you look at the situation that you're in and give you just enough assurance that there is hope and optimism and joy and happiness on the other side. But there is a requirement for that. You have to muster up enough desire to say, I have some questions about this. Why are things the way that they are? Why do I feel the way that Why do I feel the way that I feel? Why do I think the way that I think? Why do I act the way that I act? And we can explore those things together. So again, we'll try to create content that we think that you like. However, I would rather just go right to the source and say, what situations are you encountering in your life? What states of emotions are you experiencing that you'd want to try to transmute or to change? What perspectives would you like what perspectives do you wish that you had that would give you a different view of your reality? Maybe a more optimistic view, maybe a more financially abundant view, maybe a more physically healthy view. You tell me what those are. But thank you for joining us up in this refined atmosphere.